you're one of the really hard fiat miners out there that stacks really hard. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself. What are you doing, and for the people that don't know about you?
Yeah, fiat mining means that I have a job, which used to be commonplace, but I guess nowadays most people are just podcast hosts, right? But that is a job in itself. I'm sure it is a job. No, but yeah, I'm a longshoreman. So we're responsible for all the marine cargo handling. So pretty much anything that comes on a ship that gets moved by a ship has to be carried on or off that ship by a longshoreman. And so I'm a machine operator, and so I'm just responsible for moving containers around all day with my big old $4 million machine. That's like a big Tonka truck. So I like it because it's kind of like in between like a skill craft and just like a dumb man's, do the same thing over and over and over again all day. And I like that actually because I like to get good at things. I like to become really proficient at things that I do. And so if I repeat the same task over and over and over again, which I have for 11 years almost now, you start to get pretty good at it. And so I consider myself a skilled laborer who does a job that very few people can do anymore. I do well there, and I have some job security there, so I don't feel the need to do all this financial engineering that everybody else is like obsessed with now. So I'm very fortunate for that fact. Actually, I think that the obsession with financial engineering and the like over financialization of our whole civilization, at least in the Western world, is just a result of the fiat landscape and the corruption of our financial system. It's like the money is broken, and so everybody has to figure out a way to turn their money into more money, and that's not the way that human beings they're meant to live. Like they're not meant to like be on your fucking Robinhood app all day long looking at fucking stocks and shit. Like that's not how human beings are supposed to live. And like, people always say like I'm like a fiat miner and like, oh, like Eddie has a job. Like that's how he acquires his Bitcoin. And I'm just like, that's how normal people live. They, you go to work and you save money. And that's all I do. I'm not an investor. I'm not, I don't have a financial background. Anything that I understand about finances now, which is, so much more than I understood 5 years ago, is all the result of like me going through the Bitcoin a journey, and like, just, like, oh, like, I don't know what this means. Like, I don't know what bonds are. And so like, now I have to learn about bonds. Like, I don't know what this means. It's like, just, I only know this stuff because Bitcoin led me there, So yeah, I'm just a blue collar fiat miner who saves in perfect money.
I love that because I probably talked about that in previous podcasts. but when I started, I was obsessed with stocks. So I was coming from that stock world. I was one of those finance pros, those stock pros before Bitcoin. And I did all the financial engineering that I could do with my small portfolio. That was like almost laughable what I had back then. And the funny thing is, I was, for my small thing, kind of successful in the eyes of my friends, and they're like, oh, like, what are you doing there? And also for aunts and uncles, they came, oh, like, what are you doing there? And I actually started trying to teach people how to pick stocks. But what they actually just wanted is how to save money. Like, that's what the answers, they did not want to hear that they have to listen to 10 Qs and 10K reports on quarterly calls of conference calls of companies and dig into that. That's not what they want to spend their free time on. They just want to provide value for a community, however you want to do that, with like a job, with like fiat mining, how we call a job nowadays, and all those things, and then spend time with the family, work out, and those things. And this is basically the Bitcoin dream. Like we talk about the American dream. I think like that could be called the Bitcoin dream. You just provide value for the community, the value that you get back from the community, you save in Bitcoin, and you live your life. Like, it's so simple. I actually, I never told that on the podcast. I thought a lot about this year because because of my Bitcoin income, I have to either spend my Bitcoin or financial engineer my Bitcoin so I can spend fiat. And I decided to just spend my Bitcoin. I just decided to not do anything with debt. I have a bigger income than expenses. As long as this is the case, I can save sats every month. And so, yes, I spend Bitcoin now. I sell Bitcoin now because I have to fuel my life. I have to fuel my business. So I don't do any debts. I don't do any credits. I don't do any of those things. And the simple reason was, for me, I want to sleep at night and don't worry about that thing. I just want to do my podcast and that's it. Like, I don't want to care about, and I know a lot of people probably can give me the calculation why it's a bad financial idea, but I don't care about that. I just want to do my podcast.
Yeah, there's definitely something to be said about the cost of like having to think about all this stuff, and having to like look at a screen and like, I know, like, for some people who just enjoy that stuff, like if you're like a financial engineer and you enjoy this shit, then like awesome, but like I don't enjoy that at all. I'm interested in it enough to like learn about it and to see like where the opportunities are and to pay attention to the space, and as certain products evolve over time, like I'll be paying attention to it, and if the right opportunity presents itself, like I'll take advantage of it. But like as of now, like there's nothing out there now that I'm like, ooh, wow, what a good opportunity. The only thing would be like, when it's still something that I'm learning about, but it would be like the MicroStrategy, the fixed income product, Strike. I'm like, oh, that seems interesting. That seems like a good play. But again, it's not something that like I understand enough to get into, and it's, and I'm like, I don't want to learn about this. The other day when I was at that job and I overheard these guys talking about stocks, and they were saying how you have to buy the dip. And I was just sitting there, like, I'm not going to say anything because I've learned I'm past the Bitcoin evangelist phase too, where like, I've got to tell everybody about this and everybody's going to learn about this. And like anything else that you do is retarded. And like, you got to put all your money into this right now. Like the system's about to collapse. And like all of that may still be true, but I'm not the guy who's going to tell everybody that anymore. So I'm just listening to these guys talking about, the one guy's like, they're about Apple. And he's like, yeah, Apple's good. And like the other guy's like, what about NVIDIA? He's like, yeah, NVIDIA's good. Yeah. He goes, oh, okay. How about Amazon? He goes, that's a good one. Yeah, you should. I'm like, and then like, I'm sitting, I'm like, just bet them all. Get all of the Mag 7. They're all good to go. They're all the same thing. They all represent 90% of the gains in the S&P anyway. Like, just, yeah, all of them. They're all good. It's all the same thing. But, I'm just like, okay, guys. And then it's interesting how they're not talking about strategy. And I wanted to say, like, how about like the number one performing stock for the last 5 years? You guys like interested in that one at all? Like, and I'm just sitting, I'm like, we're so early, dude. Like, we're so early. But yeah, it's like everybody's obsessed with this, and like they have to be. And I don't think that they realize it's because their money's not getting more valuable, and their money's losing value over time. Most people who understand inflation enough to understand that prices are going up forever in fiat terms, don't understand that the value of the dollars, the purchasing power of their dollars is going down forever. They don't make that correlation. And so instead of trying to like explain that, I just sit there and go, yeah, give fucking Apple's good. Apple's good. Alphabet, that's a good one too.
I would love to see that. You're sitting in the corner. Yeah, of course, get it. I only have Bitcoin.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't even think about stocks or anything. I don't think about that stuff at all anymore. I just, I buy Bitcoin on a regular basis and hold storage it, and that's it. And then I live my life.
How did you come to that peace? I think a lot of Bitcoiners still to this day don't came to that peace. I think probably the majority of the Bitcoiners, because it's not like the podcast and Twitter bubble that we live in. The majority of Bitcoiners are the ones that have like $2,000 on Coinbase somewhere stored, and they also have some stocks and they have some meme coins. That like that's the actual majority of Bitcoiners in pure numbers, not in how much Bitcoin they have, but in pure numbers when we have a head count. So how did you come to that peaceful state that it's Bitcoin and Bitcoin only?
Yeah, well, I would say gradually, then suddenly, for sure. I was a shitcoiner in like 2018, 19, 20. In 2020, I closed out all of my traditional investment accounts. Like I called up my Charles Schwab guy, and I was like, close the account. I'm going all in on this crypto shit. But the guy was, the guy even said, he was like, are you sure? I was like, yes, sir, I'm sure. At that time, I would say I was probably like, I would have told people that I was like 50% Bitcoin and then, 30%, top 10 coins, and then 20%, shit coins, not understanding that like everything was a shit coin. Because I thought like, Ethereum and XRP and Cardano, like these are solid projects, like these are the long-term holds, all you gotta do is just keep holding these things. And I eventually, like, I found a project way down the list that I thought was, you know, gonna go to the moon, you know, and you know, like I got damned pretty hard. You know, I like eventually moved like all my funds into that one a token, and so I sold my Bitcoin in 2021 actually at the top of the market. Actually sold for 68K, and like I thought I was a genius, but then I moved it into a shitcoin, and so that was the last time that I sold my Bitcoin actually, and so I got like, you know, I just got scammed, you know, and I lost like of my life savings essentially. I put into this one shitcoin project, and you know, it was a very elegant rug pull that went on for like 2 years. So it was like 2 years of gaslighting, saying it's coming, you know, we're gonna launch soon, blah blah blah. You know, we've got this new investor coming in. We got a few $1 million that just got injected. We're gonna do this. You know, we're gonna do that. There was like a website, a podcast. Like these guys went to great lengths to, you know, solidify the scam that they pulled on everybody, you know, and they had scammed everybody within the first couple of weeks. And like, so for like 2.5 years, it was just like nonsense gaslighting and whatever. So, you know, sometime in that process, in that 2.5 years, I learned enough about Bitcoin to understand that, like, oh, this one's not like the other ones. That you know, the differentiation here, like, largely is the counterparty risk, and that there's no counterparty risk with Bitcoin. And so I learned that firsthand. Is that, like, I don't want to deal with a founder. I don't want to deal with a community that, like, I have to be a part of, and I have to do all this shit for, and I have to promote their thing. Like, I don't want to do any of that stuff. And so I learned firsthand that, like, Bitcoin's lack of counterparty risk is like the real attractiveness for me. And then I just learned about the properties of money, and then I got into Austrian economics, and then I got into game theory, and then I learned about how fiat is the most evil, corrupt system of all time. And then I learned about central banks. I learned about Jekyll Island. I learned, you know, and then I learned, you know, I'm still going down the rabbit hole on everything, and everything I do solidifies my conviction more and more. And then, you know, I got into my, like, evangelist phase where, like, after that, like, I just wanted to tell everybody, I'm like, listen, guys, like, our money's fucked. Like, we got to get out of this thing. And, like, you know, trying to convince everybody that, like, you know, it's like us against the central bankers, the banks, the governments, you know, like, everybody's in on this. And, like, we actually have an opportunity right now to take back control of the world, you know, put the control back into the hands of the individual, you know, and that's what decentralization is. This is a decentralized movement to pull power away from centralized authorities and into the hands of the individual. That is what Bitcoin is, what the movement is, you know. And then there's a financial aspect to it as well that, you know, is also attracted to people. But so, like, I got into my evangelist phase, and I wanted to tell everybody that. And I think after, like, you know, a year of that or so, just getting beat down essentially by like me like explaining all of this stuff to everybody, and then people going like, "Oh, cool, did you touch the game the other day?" You know, I'm like, "Oh man, you guys are fucked." I think after that, I was just like, "All right, like I'm just gonna like hold this in here more and like internalize this more." And then I would say that like I reached a stacking goal that I honestly like when I lost everything in 2022. You know, I was in a shit place, dude. Like I was in debt. I was in like $90,000 worth of debt, and I had no money left, and you know it was a rough time for me. And like I went, oh man, like I would have done. It's like I did not do the responsible thing. I did not like pay down my debt and, you know, I'll focus on that first. Like I stayed at the margins for a year in order to establish a position in Bitcoin that like made me feel like I was like a part of this thing, you know, because I was afraid this thing was gonna. I didn't want to get left behind, you know, and like I understood this as like a once in a lifetime event, and so I was like irresponsibly stacking and, you know, servicing my debt just enough, you know, and like I didn't have a life outside of that, you know, like I couldn't really afford to do anything else for a long time. And then, I started getting some headway there, and then I reached a stacking goal, and I paid down my debt enough, and then we got back on track, and then my job improved too. We got a raise there last year. We actually negotiated like the best organized labor contract of all time recently. So we're all very happy with it. And I hit a stacking goal that I'm like, I have enough, to feel like that. Like even if I never added another one, like I would feel like, my retirement in 30 years or whatever is going to be okay.
Thank you for watching this video. This was only a snippet of the podcast. And if you want to watch the full episode and get all of the context of this episode, you can click right here or here. Oh, maybe also here.